how do I put this? It proved to me that I was finally free of that indoctrination of, you know what I mean, being evil and hell and all those beliefs. And probably the only way you can really know that is to actually face death, which was unplanned. So anyways, I'll tell you real quick. So I always wanted to go skydiving since I was like 18, right? Yeah. And my wife did at the time. She worked for like 14 years. And so I was actually working on writing, and I would go in there, you know what I mean, sometimes when she worked, and this guy would come in all the time, and he did construction, but he was real passionate about skydiving. He had like 500 dives or whatever, and he actually taught people how to skydive and everything. And so I heard him talking about that one time, and he would come in and get his coffee, and I would talk to him and say, yeah, man, I've always wanted to skydive, you know, and I was 40. I was like, ever since I was 18 years old. And he was like, oh, man, he's like, don't even do tandem, which is when you're strapped to somebody like a baby. He's like, I've never even done tandem my whole life. What's the point, dude? You don't even get to control or land yourself. And he's basically like going to my ego, like, you don't want to be a little bitch and do tandem, you know? I was like, yeah, you know what? And I don't want to do that. You know, he's like, I'll just take my course for like 8 hours. And he's like, I'll teach you, and basically you can jump, and you'll have two people that are trained, and they basically, like, one will hold your arm and the other leg, and they'll, you know, basically be there in case something happens, and they can help you out. But pretty much once you pull your chute, then you get to direct and land yourself. Anyways, I ended up taking him up on that, and I ended up doing it. He ended up having to, like, work in Seattle, so he couldn't, but a couple of other friends that he recommended ended up jumping with me, and it was fucking awesome the first time I did it. But I ended up landing like 5 blocks away in like some cornfield with like no corn. So mind you, it was like landing on concrete.
Oh, geez.
But because my perception, I wasn't sure, like, you know, I had never landed obviously a parachute, and there was like power lines around the big huge like football field square where you had to land, and I'm like trying to twirl in there, but I have no perception of like, I don't know if my feet are like 10 feet away from wrapping these lines or 1,000, because I'd never done this before.
Yeah.
Well, I said, fuck it, I'm going way over here and landing way the fuck away because I don't want to get electrocuted, and you know what I mean? Well, anyways, then I said, you know, they give you a discount if you do it again within like 30 days, you know, like half off or something. I said, and Heidi didn't want to do it again. She only did it the first time basically because I did it, you know, and she's like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to do it again. I was like, well, I want to land right, you know, do it again. And I said, all right, I'm all, you know, 2 weeks later, I did it again. I'm all like gung-ho, and they're like, you want to learn a little trick? And I'm like, oh, sure, you know, and they taught me, like, if I move my arm this way, I can, like, move forward or back, like, 5 feet, whatever. I was like, all right, cool. And so the one guy that I went up with, I mean, he probably had, like, 5,000 jumps. I mean, he was, like, 55, dude. He'd been doing this shit for, like, 20 years. And I didn't know it at the time, but the other guy, I was literally, like, his very first, right? So he was trying to be, like, I guess an instructor, trainer, or whatever, and I was his very first experience, and they didn't tell me that, which is whatever. But so,
wow.
Yeah, and so this is only the second time I go up there, and you have the altimeter thing, right, which is like a watch, except it's huge, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't have it on tight enough, so when I jumped out the plane, it was like, brr, and that's how I know when I'm supposed to jump, 5,000 feet, so I literally couldn't see like how my feet or whatever, so I didn't know when to pull my chute, and they're trying to like talk to me, and I'm ignoring them, you know, they're trying to do signals, and I'm ignoring them, like, oh, I can't see when I'm supposed to pull my chute, and I'm like kind of wigging out or whatever, but it's not bad yet. And so anyways, basically what you're supposed to do is be flat when you pull your chute, you know. Well, the guy on the right was the veteran, right? And so I'm not pulling my fucking chute, and he finally just decided I better pull this dumbass's chute because he's not paying attention to me, and he's not pulling his chute. So he pulls his chute for me, except I don't fucking know he pulled my chute because I'm not paying any attention to him. So this is what happens. I go, I guess I better pull my chute because I don't know when, so better, you know, safe than sorry. I think I probably should already pull it. So he pulled it literally right before I went to pull it, but I didn't know that. So he pulled my chute. He pulls his. Boom, he's gone. Oh, I go like this. So I twist to go pull mine, and I'm turning like this. So my chute opens, right, because he pulled it. But instead of opening, since I'm like at this weird like 45-degree angle, it doesn't open, but it comes out and then wraps around me like a boa constrictor and does not open.
Holy fuck.
And now I am literally fucking just spinning to my fucking death. Like I'm like head over feet. I'm just seeing a fucking blur. The ground's coming. My chute is not open. I know I fucking pulled it, but it's all wrapped around me. And I'm just like, I'm fucking dead. You know what I mean? And I'm just spinning to the ground. Now I had just jumped for the first time 2 weeks earlier. And I'm like, yo, my chute opened a long fucking time ago, and I'm like seeing the ground getting closer and closer, and I'm fucking spinning and shit. And I thought the other guy's gone too. I can't see him. You know what I mean? But later, I find out that, mind you, this guy's first ever jump. He's a fucking trainee, right? And my chute wraps around me. The pro that's done 5,000 jumps, he's gone. And this guy literally, he has to spin, flip, fucking head over heels, and he has to unravel my entire chute before he pulls his, or I'm dead. And that's what he did. But I can't fucking see him. So I'm just like, I'm flipping around, and the ground's getting closer and closer. And, you know, my wife is down there. She has no idea because it looks like a fucking dot. She don't know I'm basically plummeting to my death. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, so I have this thought process now. I'm like, I'm dying today. I did not know I was dying. I'm going to be dead in less than 2 minutes. I'm going to fucking splat like a
all
bug.
that shit.
Yeah. I was just like, wow. And I had a couple thoughts, right? So the thoughts was, well, this sucks. I didn't plan on dying today. And then my only other thought was, this really sucks for my wife. Mm-hmm. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So I knew then, right, thinking I'm dying. It wasn't like, well, I have the knowledge that my chute's going to open up in 30 seconds and I'm not going to die. I didn't fucking know that.
Yeah.
I thought this dude was gone too. I thought I'm just plummeting to my death. It's over.
By yourself.
Right. By myself. I'm about to fucking splat. And then literally, like, I'm serious, probably 1,000 feet, you know, my chute finally opened up, and I was in such fucking shock that I didn't even, like, direct it. And luckily landed, like, in a field somewhere, like, in the grass, and it wasn't a pretty landing, but I was totally fine, didn't break my legs or anything, you know, because it opened, and I'm just sitting there, and the dude comes up, and he's like, oh, how was it? And I was like, holy shit, you know? I was like, I almost died. And then I went and tried to find the guy to thank him, like, hey, thanks for saving my life, because I'd be fucking dead if it wasn't for you. You know what I mean? And he was in the bathroom, dude, for like 15 minutes, right? And he finally came out, and he was fucking white as a ghost. Looked like he'd been projectile vomiting in the fucking toilet. You know what I mean? And I said, hey, man, thanks for saving my life. And he didn't even fucking look at me, dude. He was like a zombie, dude. He just walked past me. I mean, I think I changed his entire fucking career path. You know what I mean? Can you imagine the first time you ever have to jump with somebody, and this dude you have to unravel at like 100 fucking miles an hour, plummeting and twisting and twirling? It was like Point Break where he jumps out of the thing. Like, dude, that's how it was. Oh my God. And I just thought I died, but that was one of the best things, looking back, that ever fucking happened to me, because you know how I know that I'm free of like all that like religious dogma? That because I didn't have one thought plummeting to my death of, whoops, I better repent just in case. Otherwise, I'm going to hell. Just in case this thing's real. None of it. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So then I literally had proof that finally, even though maybe it took me freaking 40 years, but I'm finally free of that dogma. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Like, I mean, you can't get any more proof than literally you're going to be dead in like 60 seconds. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I had no other evidence that anything other was going to happen other than that. I mean, who survives like plain when your chute don't open? One in a million, and then even then they break every bone in their body and wish they would have died. You know what I mean?
Damn, dude.
But that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because after that I was like, it gave me a completely different perspective. Number one, to basically being like, you know what, dude? You never fucking know when you're gonna die. So you might as well do what the hell you want to do now and not fucking put shit off to the future, first of all, which is just a simple guru way of modern day saying live in the moment, do what you want.